Today we are going to discuss about the myths and facts regarding tonsillitis and tonsil surgery. So what are these tonsils and why do we remove these tonsils sometimes? And what are the instances where the surgery has to be done? And what are all the problems? What are the real facts behind tonsil surgeries and what are the common myths about tonsil surgery? That's what we are going to discuss in this video. So first thing is that the tonsils are part of what is known as a lymphatic system in the body. So this tonsils and the related tissue which is known as adenoids, which sits in the back side of the nose, and there is lingual tonsil, which is a more uncommon reason for this problem, sits on the back surface of the tongue. So these three structures play a limited role in the immunity in children who are less than 2 years. After 2 years, this tonsil, adenoids and lingual tonsil do not have any function to play in the body. In almost 80% of people when they cross 2 years, so they lose all their function and remain in the body without any active function, and at the same time they do not cause any trouble as well. But in 20% of individuals, these tissues become a source of problem. So why they become source of problem? Because of some unknown reasons which has not been identified as of date. This tonsil, adenoids and lingual tonsil, they trap some bacteria but they cannot eliminate them completely. So these bacteria cleverly stay trapped inside these tissues, form a protective layer around them into which most of the antibiotics which we prescribe cannot go. So thereby they find a safe house inside our body where they cannot be eliminated by whatever medications we give. Only in those kids, what happens is this tonsil, instead of being an inactive tissue, becomes a source of trouble. So these kids develop symptoms which are attributable to the repeated infections they produce. So what happens is this bacteria always looks for favorable conditions for causing trouble. So when it finds some change of climate or some cool drinks or whatever, so when it finds a favorable atmosphere developing, it multiplies and spreads out, and that time the kid develops symptoms. So we go to a doctor, the doctor gives antibiotic, that infection is controlled, but this bacteria sitting inside the tissue is never eliminated. So in this process, sometimes what happens is this tonsil and adenoid, instead of regressing in size, it enlarges in size. So there are two problems which can happen because of this tonsil and adenoids. One is the recurrent infections it can cause, and number two, because it increases in size instead of reducing in size, it can cause certain obstruction related problems. So what are the problems and symptoms these people have? So like I said earlier, they have very frequent infections associated with throat pain, fever, difficulty in breathing through the nose. So these kids are mostly chronic mouth breathers. They keep their mouth wide open when they sleep. They snore a lot when they sleep. So these kind of problems can happen, and more importantly, once this stays for a longer period of time, it can start affecting the ears as well, because the adenoids, like I said previously, sits in the back end of the nose. So when that becomes a source of problem, the infection can travel to the ear from there, because the ears and nose are connected by a ventilation tube. So through that tube, the infection can reach the ear and the child can develop ear related problems as well. So what are the situations we have to do a surgery for tonsil or adenoid related problems? So there are very clear cut defined criteria in which the surgery is performed. Number one, if your kid is less than 5 years, so if the kid has more than 4 to 5 episodes of cold with fever every year, that is an indication. Or if your kid is more than 5 years and less than 15 years, if the child has 3 or more episodes per year, it is an indication for surgery. Or if you're more than 15 years or an adult, even single episode of proven tonsillitis which happens every year is considered an indication for surgery. So this is one indication based upon the frequency of problem. And number two, if your child has mouth breathing. That is a very definitive evidence that the child needs surgery. So any child that has mouth breathing or snoring definitely has to be evaluated, and if the adenoids and tonsils are found to be the reason for the problem, definitely the child requires surgery as early as possible, because mouth breathing can have lot of bad effects on the growth of the kid. So that is one definite indication for tonsil surgery. Number 3 is if the child has repeated ear infections which are attributable to this tonsil and adenoid problem. That is also a very definite indication for tonsil surgery. If those ear problems are ignored, definitely the child can have more permanent problems developing in the ear, which can definitely affect the hearing in the long run. So these are the situations where we have to do surgical removal of this tonsil and adenoids. What is the surgery? How is it done? Is it really a complicated surgery? Not at all, because the tonsil surgery has been done for centuries now. So what has changed is a lot of new technologies have come which have made this tonsil surgery a lot more safer and convenient. So the new technologies include laser, which is almost outdated now. So the latest technology which is available is ablation tonsillectomy. So this ablation is a short form for cold ablation. So this ablation works on the principle of plasma energy, where there is a probe which is used for doing this surgery. So the surgery is done through the mouth. So that is, there is no incision, there is no suturing. We open the mouth. There is a special device for reaching the backside of the nose to remove the adenoids, and through the mouth itself the tonsil and adenoids are removed. So like I said earlier, previously doctors used to say that the child has to attain at least 5 years of age or 25 kilograms before we can take up the child for tonsil surgery. So that was mainly because the fear of bleeding, because during a conventional tonsillectomy, almost 250 to 300 ml of blood loss is naturally expected. So previously, when this amount of bleeding is naturally expected during surgery, if we had to operate on a child less than 5 years or less than 25 kgs, the bleeding can sometimes be a life-threatening problem. So that is why previously doctors used to advise that the child has to reach a certain age and weight for taking up for surgery. But that is not the case now with these kind of new technologies like ablation coming up, because during the ablation tonsil and adenoid surgery, the average amount of blood loss is almost less than 30 to 50 ml. So that is definitely not going to be significant bleeding even in a very small child as young as 1.5 years. It is not going to be a significant bleeding. So the current concept is that a lot of parents are very anxious. My child is only 3 years. Can I do tonsil surgery at this age? Because no, you need not worry about the age anymore, because the current concept is very clear in that if a child is found to require tonsil surgery, it is always better to do it at the earlier age as possible. This is for two reasons. One, the tonsil tissue, the more frequently it becomes infected, it becomes adherent to the underlying tissue. So the surgery is technically more difficult, more bleeding can be expected when it has been infected for a longer period. See, the older you are, technically more difficult is the surgery. So that is one reason we advise to do the surgery at a younger age. And number two, it is a very common fact that the pain that is commonly associated after tonsil surgery is inversely proportional to the age. So a younger child will have less pain, but an older child or adult will have a more severe and more prolonged pain. So for these two reasons, in today's technology and other things, we always advise if a child requires tonsil surgery, it better be done in a younger age itself. Another common thing that parents usually want to know is that, will my child have any long-term problems because of removal of tonsil and adenoids? Absolutely not. Like I said, this tonsil surgery is not a new surgery. This has been done for centuries together. Lot of studies have been done that people who have undergone tonsil surgeries have grown up, lived their complete life, and so far no problems have been identified in multiple studies done in various countries on various very huge number of people. No problems have been identified because of removal of tonsil and adenoid. The next thing parents want to know, or the myth that is associated with tonsil surgery, is that there is an opinion among public that tonsil surgery will result in change in voice. So we have to realize one thing: tonsil surgery has nothing to do with the vocal cord. The vocal cord is down here. So our tonsil is here, so this place. So the tonsil surgery has nothing to do with the vocal cords or the voice. But what is the reason behind this myth? So the reason behind this myth is that these kids who have tonsil and adenoid problem always have a blocked nose kind of voice. So the child will speak as though the child's nose is completely blocked. So the parents would have got used to that kind of voice, and they will be thinking that this is the normal voice of the kid. But when we remove this adenoid and tonsil, definitely that blocked nose voice is going to disappear, and the child is going to have his normal voice coming up. So people who are used to hearing that blocked nose voice, they will think that the voice has changed. Actually, this voice which the child develops after the surgery is actually his original voice. Otherwise, tonsil surgery has nothing to do with the voice. Another common myth is that people believe that tonsil surgery leads on to obesity. So this once again is not true. Tonsil surgery has once again nothing to do with weight gain. It doesn't have any tonsil does not have any hormonal function at all. So, and once again, what is the reason behind this myth? The reason behind this myth is that these kids who have tonsil and adenoids problem have recurrent infections. So they are always sick. So these kids do not have optimal growth and weight gain. So people are used to seeing them lean and not growing fast. So once you remove this tonsil, definitely all those nutrition which are spent in fighting the infection is now available for the body for the growth. So they put on weight and they grow much. It's not just growing fat, they also grow faster. So that is the reason why people believe that tonsil surgery leads on to weight gain. It is not only weight gain, it leads on to better growth for the kids. That is the reason behind this myth. So these are the few myths and facts about tonsil surgery. If you have any other myths or doubts regarding tonsil surgery, please leave your doubts in the comment box below. I'll definitely try to address your concern in the future videos. So if you liked this video, please do share with your friends, and please subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click that bell icon for getting notified on future videos. Thank you very much.